Sometimes, for those of us with enough years to remember, Blowing Rock kind of reminds us of Mayberry, North Carolina from 1960s TV. Blowing Rock, North Carolina has a category of uniqueness pretty much to itself. Ask those who do serve and protect about the Blowing Rock experience. Blowing Rock Chief of Police, Aaron Miller.
Here in Blowing Rock, it's really a fantastic place to work. We have a lower occurrence of crime, which is really nice. It's a very safe community to work in overall. And the community is very supportive of what we do, and we appreciate that very much. So almost every day, somebody out here, if we're walking the streets, tells us that they appreciate us and appreciate what we do. So it's really nice to be here in Blowing Rock.
It's a great place to work. I'll tell you that right now. After working for another agency, and my brother's also in law enforcement, he's a captain of patrol down the mountain. We're fortunate. Community policing is a big thing in Blowing Rock, absolutely. My first call when I was here as an officer was to fix a lady's toilet right across the street. She didn't know what the noise was. We have multiple calls like that. We've had people be out of town and they've left their door unlocked. We'll go help them out. We'll secure it. But it's just a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to be.
It is a great place to work, like I said, but it does present some unique challenges. We have a lot of our seasonal residents are gone in the wintertime, so that presents some challenges for property protection over the winter months when we have a lot of houses that are sitting empty and that kind of thing. There's also challenges in striking the right balance between the population that we serve most of the time and some of the issues that we may have over on the highway, because we wear a lot of hats in a small town.
On 321, you can have anything from just someone that's lost trying to make it to a vacation cabin, and then you have like a situation we had last night where it's a trafficking, situation where this subject had over $7,000 worth of cash, multiple weapons in the vehicle, multiple types of drugs, cocaine, they call it dabs, but it's like a wax concentrated THC that's more potent than your regular marijuana. I mean, you have situations like that.
Yeah, I came in this morning about 8:30, and our night shift officer that was supposed to have got off at 6 o'clock this morning was still here doing some paperwork. And that's not uncommon that they work 12-hour shifts anyway. So his shift was about 15 hours by the time he left. So I understand he stopped a vehicle. It was a routine traffic stop for speeding, and it turned into some weapons and drugs and a lot of cash and that kind of thing. So 2 people were arrested out of that vehicle. So you just never know. You think you're making a routine speeding stop out here on the highway, but you never really know what those folks are up to and what their intentions are and what you're going to find. So
just recently there was a gentleman who wrecked down here, and he had felony amount of edibles that evidently he'd been distributing for a while, but nobody would have ever known. It all appeared to be a law-abiding citizen, and then all of a sudden he rolls his car over. When the tow truck pulls it over, they all fall out.
Absolutely. I believe that our experienced officers that we hire understand what it's like in other places. I'm sure the experience is there. And when they come here, a lot of them choose to come here for that very reason. They love being a police officer because their number one goal is to help citizens. It's in whatever way that is, whether that's protecting the citizens themselves or providing other support services. They come here because of that very reason. They understand that the town of Blowing Rock has had a long history of being an integral part of the community. They understand that the community supports the police department in Blowing Rock, and I think that's been evident in my short time here. Just very positive comments with regards to our police department, and the funny thing is the majority of those are folks that have had interactions, whether it be citations or other interactions with the police department. The response is that how professional and just how understanding the police here are with what the situation is.
I think we have a great relationship. As a matter of fact, we've sent out a community satisfaction survey about a year ago. We got great reviews back from that. And every day, if you're out and about in Blowing Rock as a police officer, as I said earlier, somebody tells you that they appreciate what you do.
It's an understanding that you do have to come in here, obviously, with a good, solid foundation and base of police work, investigation work, all the things that it takes to do the job, but an understanding that you are somewhat in a Mayberry community with a major highway that runs through that does seem to carry a number of bad things from time to time, whether it be drugs or the occasional weapons. Speeding, of course, is always a concern on 321.
Well, recruitment is certainly one of the biggest challenges. I think that's a challenge for all police departments right now. But in Blowing Rock, because we have such a varying degree of people that we deal with, and we have so many different tasks that we have to fulfill, we have to be very careful who we choose. We want people who are very community-minded, people who are able to relate to our citizens and our visitors. We have a lot of tourists here, so we have to have people who are very good with our tourist population that comes in, but we also have to have people who are up to the task, who are safety conscious, who are able to train and be proficient in a lot of different jobs. So we're really particular about who we hire here, and we've got a fantastic group of people.
We try to get out in the neighborhoods as much as possible, regardless. I mean, especially in the wintertime, because we do still have a large population that this is only a second home to them, and they're not up here in the wintertime. And that's why we have these extra patrols, and we go up and check it, and at a minimum, their property's checked 3 times a week. And that's by the different platoons coming into work. We keep a spreadsheet, we check it, what's going on with the house, what it looks like, do a whole walk around. It doesn't matter if it's negative 10 degrees outside and blowing snow, the officer's still out there walking around the property. Community watch up here is outstanding. If something's wrong or something's out of place, we will get a phone call.
Yeah, definitely out on the highway making traffic stops, because again, you never know who you're stopping, you never know what they've just done, what their intentions are, whether they intend to do you harm or whatever. So you still have to keep your guard up all the time, even working in Blowing Rocks.
One of our main goals here is traffic enforcement, because that is what the community cares about. We did a survey last summer, and we sent it out with everybody's water bill, and they turned it back in, and what their major concern was speeding on 321. So that's why we try to have a presence out there at all times during day and night, and do multiple traffic stops. And the traffic stops are from anything to you have a brake light out to you're going 60 and a 35, and that's the majority of it. We're trying to, keep people slowed down and everything, because there's 13 35-mile-per-hour signs starting from when it changes to where it goes back to 50 miles an hour on the other side of town.
This traffic stop ended with a warning ticket and a thank you to the officer from the driver, thanking him for his service. And then there are new policing realities while dealing with the pandemic, COVID-19.
When it first started, it was kind of seemed like it was, that's a faraway problem, it's not going to come over here, and then it did, and once it was locked down, it was kind of eerie. I'm not going to lie. I mean, on a time when town should have been bustling and people everywhere and cars, there was not a soul on Main Street. 321, nothing. You might see a big 18-wheeler, and that was about it.
We never know what we'll get into out here. Even though it's a small town and we have a low occurrence of crime, we still do have some crime. I tell folks that anything that can happen in a large city can and does happen here in Blowing Rock, just not nearly as frequently. I think in North Carolina we're at an advantage. We have checks and balance systems on the state level. We have systems set up so that there's no financial incentives for us to make traffic stops or write citations. None of that money stays local. It all goes to the state. We do occasionally have complaints, and they're dealt with. Every complaint is investigated thoroughly and looked into. I find that 99% of the time, the officer, the complaint is not warranted. Sometimes people confuse directness and professionalism with rudeness, and it's certainly not the case. And I just want people to understand that if you're stopped out here by a police officer on the highway, that police officer doesn't know who you are. That police officer doesn't know if you're a fantastic person or maybe not so good of a person. So they have to take precautions, and sometimes people misconstrue that as rudeness.
So it may not be Mayberry, North Carolina, but most find Blowing Rock may be the best place to take a break, set a spell. Whether it's a day trip for ice cream, a weekend, a week, a season, or a lifetime. One thing that Blowing Rock offers in abundance is the assurance of quality, professional law enforcement. Y'all come back now, you hear?